I only wish I had half the grace and dignity and talent you had when I was 15 years old. And the fact that you can come up here and shine your light so beautifully, even in the midst of your fear, is a testimony to what we do here. You have a dream in your heart. You have a vision in your heart. And it is there not by accident, but by a divine appointment. And so we have to confront the fears. We have to confront the nervousness. I was sharing with her that when I was her age, I had ulcers as a pianist, being told to get up in front of people. Thank God my parents forced me to do it. I don't think they're forcing you to do it, but what a gift you are. She's a member of our YOU, our high school group. There's such great things going on there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to say something now that I thought was extremely funny, and the first service just didn't get it. Socrates asked us to question everything. Why would we want to do that? Oh, I need a drummer here. Here's something that I have experienced in my life, that I have known in my life, and I have absolutely adopted as a way of living. The quality of the life we are living will be determined by the quality of the questions we are asking. And at a deeper and more profound place, the quality of the life we are living will be determined by the consciousness, the thoughts that are underneath the questions that we are asking. And hopefully, we are asking them. This is to be the second of a 4-week series on the Socratic method. We're using the Socratic method as a means of contextualizing our spiritual path. A Socratic spirituality. Now, one of the tenets, one of the basic systems of a Socratic method is a healthy skepticism. And that makes it a little bit difficult. We have a bit of a paradox there, because at the cornerstone of most religious belief systems is the word faith. And so I want to put out there today the question, is it possible to have questioning and faith in the same field at the same time? Last week we spent some time in paradox. And that which the human mind perceives as impossible right out of the gate, if we sit in the question long enough, sit in the uncomfortableness long enough, we begin to realize that there's a deeper truth underneath. And so I would submit to you that not only are faith and questioning necessary components, they rely upon each other in order to be grounded in the deepest sense of truth. So yes, questioning and faith must be in the same environment, or we have what Jesus might fondly put as a religion founded upon sand, and it will eventually sink. So yes, question everything as a method of discovering a greater awareness of God, a greater awareness of your own divinity. Ask the questions. Bertrand Russell, I don't know who the man was, but I found this quote and said, this is absolutely perfect. Let's read it together. It's a healthy thing now and then to hang a question mark on the things you have long taken for granted. Is that possible? To hang a question mark on everything you have ever believed, you've ever been taught, anybody ever told you in a church or ever told you in a school. Is it possible to just put a question mark on the end and go, does it still ring true to me today? Is it still true today? Now, we are afraid of that. Many religious systems are a little bit afraid of that, but I'm saying it is absolutely necessary. And in a spiritual environment, here are the elements necessary to be able to hang a question mark and not run in fear of the answers that might come. First and foremost, we have to be a spiritual environment where questions are welcomed. It blows my mind and actually is kind of sad at points, because families come here to Unity North, and they have come from another religious system, another church, and they were actually asked to leave, because in the Sunday school, the kids were asking too many questions. That breaks my heart. Families who have come and said, I don't think you belong here because you're asking too many questions, and you just need to blindly accept that which we're teaching, that which we're offering. And they end up in our chairs, which I think is a beautiful testimony to the possibility of faith and questioning in the same environment. And they find a place that they can call home, where they can challenge the minister. They can challenge the doctrinal belief system of the Unity movement even. He's going to challenge the Unity movement. Yes, I'm going to challenge even some of our belief systems today and next week. That's the first requirement. You got to be a safe environment to ask questions. Number 2, you got to have the guts and the courage to ask the questions. Not everybody has that kind of guts and courage. You are hereby ordained as courageous people who have the ability to teach, the ability to show up in your questions in a place of love to create a greater awareness within the environment, but that means being okay with the uncomfortableness. It means being okay with the tension and knowing that it is absolutely a necessary environment for growth, for expansiveness. You don't have the tension? Well, you don't ask the question. We just are basically living our lives from a 19th century spirituality and mindset. I'm saying the time has come to contextualize our 20th century spirituality with a 20th century mindset and not an 18th, 17th, or 19th century spirituality. But I'm going to give you some experts in a few moments from those centuries that might say, we've forgotten something. That's number two. We have to have the guts to ask the questions. Number three, this is what Socrates would be all about. We got to have some self-inquiry. The unexamined life is not worth living. That means we need to look at the motives before we ask the questions. We need to look at what's going on the inside before we challenge out here. Before we become skeptical, we have to know that there's a peace within us, that the question is not coming from a place of attack. The question is not coming from a place of tearing something down, but it is an opportunity to discover a greater reality. That must be absolutely there. The question starts within. Is my motive to tear down or to build up? Is it to create doubt and to diminish, or is it to create clarity and to build up? I have to tell you that when I ask the question about the paradox of questioning and faith all in the same realm, my faith today, which is as strong as it's ever been, the only way I got here was questioning what I believed when I was 5, when I was 15, heck, when I was 55. I asked the questions that allowed me to have a greater expression and experience of the vast miracle of the entire universe, the entire cosmos, which I call God. Now, many people in New Thought think, oh, I'm fine with that, 1, 2, and 3. I'm good with that. And where New Thought people get into trouble is number 4. Okay, I'm good. I know my question's coming from a place of love. I'm asking the question, and then let me just talk and give you a monologue. The Socratic method means I am dialoguing. That means my ears are as important as my mouth. Your wisdom is as important as my wisdom. So I ask the question, and then let me be a receptive environment, even if I don't like the answers. There's tension there. I don't like what you're saying. It feels a little bit different than what I'm used to hearing. I must resist the human ego's need to then start speaking to say you're wrong or your truth is not the truth. Maybe if I put my ears on long enough, I'll hear something that will contextualize my spiritual life today, that the field is now open to a greater degree. That means suspend the judgment. Usually that will be taken care of in number 3 if I've done the self-examination. I'm not asking a question out of judgment. If you are, don't ask it. But it's from a place of peace, and you will be able to easily and effortlessly go, let me understand. There was a quote, I guess I said it last week in the talk. It's gotten a lot of attention on Facebook this week. I don't even remember saying it. Stand in the fire and say, help me understand. The fire of the tension, that's where gold gets refined. That's where land and beautiful mountains are born in the midst of a tension. Could it be that the tension is a portal through a greater understanding of the mountain of the spiritual life, the religious life, the connection and relationship to the divine? I say yes. You know what? Religious leaders used to be the ones that took the world into new paradigms. It used to be religions that took us to the new ideas and the new adventures. We've been left in the dust. I hate to say, we've been left in the dust by science. We've been left in the dust by poets and artists, musicians, and even comedians. Let's get the evidence. I'm going to give you some quotes right now. Let's begin with these quotes. Walt Whitman and Albert Einstein from the world of literature, poetry, and science. Let's read it together. Re-examine all you have been told at school or church or in any book. Dismiss whatever insults your own soul, and your very flesh shall be a great poem. I love the line in there, dismiss that which is insulting to your soul, your very existence. For too long, we have sat in church pews around the world, around the country, here in the state of Georgia, and just blindly accepted what somebody was saying. And inside us like, this doesn't feel good, this doesn't feel right, but I won't ask any questions because I'm not in an environment where I can ask questions. I'm saying, let this be a rich and beautiful environment where you are challenging what's being taught. And today there might be some challenges. We're just getting going. Be in an environment that if it insults your soul, out of a place of love, stand in the fire and say, help me understand. Let's be together as cells within the body of a magnificent creation, a magnificent humanity, and discover a new reality of God. Albert Einstein, this is what he said. Together, the important thing is to not stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. Curiosity is a part of the divine fabric of how we were created. We were designed as curious beings, and if you examine our history, the only way we are at the place we are and are evolving is the curious people who asked the right questions, who stepped out on the ledge, who absolutely said, there's something that wants to be born here. Let me be curious with it. Let me be called the fool. Let me be called the heretic. Let me be called the rebel. And then all of a sudden, a new idea emerges out of the portal of a person's willingness to risk, willingness to chance being ridiculed. We have to absolutely be curious because it's part of the divine fabric by which we were designed. It's part of the operating system of ourselves as spiritual beings. And when you are not curious, when you shut down the questions that are coming up, you are not cooperating with the operating system of your very being. And now you're saying, I've had enough God. You know, I'm actually kind of a little bit tired of the notion with some of my friends, but I'll sit and talk and listen to them, that the gospel was written at a certain time in history and God quit speaking to anybody after that point. I believe, first service today, gospels were being written. Cheryl spoke in the first service and was amazing. I wanted to write down what you said because it was gospel, it was truth. I'd not heard it from anybody else's mouth, I'd not read it in any book, but gospel was being written in that moment. We need to be open to ask the questions, to find the answers, to challenge all of it. Now, let's go to a few less direct, nonetheless powerful commentaries on the need to live in a growing and expansive environment. Two of my great heroes, two artists. Now we're going to go back to other centuries today. Let's read it today. Michelangelo, the first one. The greater danger and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Religion, for too long, has absolutely said, let's just stay at this low water mark and we can achieve it, we can control things, we don't have to worry about anything, and we stayed stagnant. It's a stagnant environment. It feels good, but evolving doesn't always feel good. And ask anybody who's ever given birth to a child. When you're giving birth to an idea, it doesn't always feel good. Set your bar as high as you want to put it, and then set it a little bit higher. Because I don't want to live in a stagnant, mediocre environment. I don't know about you, but I want to live in an evolving spirituality that is not stuck in a 19th century mindset. Leonardo da Vinci said this, together, art is never finished, only abandoned. Gospels are being written today. The thought that you're having right now could be the next gospel. Don't let anybody tell you it's not valid. And the way you're going to get to that gospel is asking the right question. Let me sit in, I'm not sure if what I believed up to this moment is completely and totally true. That's okay. You get a choice to make. The choice, the most powerful expression of grace on the planet. I get to choose to ask a question out of love or to just shut my mouth and be quiet. Gone are the days, we talked about this last week in the beginning of this series, of kids who were asking why. Science is showing us that kids from age 1, 2, 3, and 4 are asking a lot more questions. And they quit asking those questions at age 5, 6, and 7. By the time they're 57, they don't ask any questions at all. Why is that? Because the world is set up, or religious system is set up to say, because I told you so. Because I said it was the truth. Because I say so. I'm asking you to run from anybody that answers your questions with, because I say so. Because that's a stagnant environment that is shut down. And basically, religion, as I know it, the religion, the bringing back together of our humanity has then been abandoned. We've lost sight of the goal of religion to begin with. Oh, I just want to be comfortable. I'm saying the spiritual path is not for the faint of heart. It is not for those who want to stay comfortable. Let's get a little uncomfortable. Now I'm going to go to the great prophet, George Carlin. This man was a devout atheist, but boy, did he make the world think with his questions. This is what he said, together. I think it's the duty of the comedian to find out where the line is drawn and cross it deliberately. When was the last time you crossed a line spiritually? When was the last time you challenged yourself with a question? or invited in a question that made you a little bit uncomfortable. Comedians challenge us with humor. Let's just play. Let's be joyous. Let's be fun and look at ourselves and our human constructs with objective eyes. We have that same ability to have fun in this spiritual exploration. Yeah, it's work, but can it be fun? Can we be laughing all the way home? I hope so. I hope so. But that ability has been lost in the muck of religious piety. That ability to laugh on the spiritual evolutionary process has been lost in, worse yet, religious fear. I'm afraid of the answers I'm going to get, so I don't ask the question. Whether it be religious piety or be religious fear, it's going to manifest as the same thing: closed-minded ignorance. Closed-minded ignorance. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to play in closed-minded ignorance anymore. I want to have the difficult conversations and invite the people that challenge me through and through. You know, sometimes the relationships that we have with our belief system, it's very much a parallel to the relationships we have here on this earth. How many people have a growing relationship with somebody where you never re-examine the relationship, never take stock of the relationship, never visit the relationship often? It just becomes stagnant. Well, we have a relationship with our belief system, our BS, as some people like to say, that's never, ever, ever examined. It has to be refreshed. If it is not refreshed, it will become the Dead Sea. Nothing in, nothing out, and it's a dead environment. So just as you address the relationships in your life, you keep them fresh by constantly keeping them at the forefront of your mind, with new eyes and new ears and a new heart and a new soul, because we're not the same being we were yesterday or 10 years ago. Do the same thing in your relationship with your BS, your belief system. Now, Susie and I, my wife is Susie, we have a practice in our house that I just love, and it goes a little bit counter to what some people in Unity might say was acceptable. But it works really well for us. When there's a new challenge, a new adventure, a risk that's before us, a new opportunity that's in front of us, we will ask ourselves questions, the Socratic method. What is the very best that could happen here if we jump off and take this leap into the unknown possibility? The quantum field of God. What is the best thing that can happen? And what is the worst thing that can happen? There's where Unity people go, no, he's getting negative. Negative is not bad. It's just being open to the field. 9 times out of 10, we find out that the possibility of the good far outweighs any of the risk, and our greatest life as a couple, as a family, has been going ahead and taking the step. Going ahead and taking the step. And when it comes to our spirituality, I want to submit to you that what's the worst thing or the best thing that can happen is the same thing. Now, what does that mean? The best thing and the worst thing in regards to your spirituality is exactly the same thing. Well, here's what I wrote down. By questioning our spirituality and our belief system, we will either find out, number one, that the truth of yesterday was nothing but a fantastic and beautiful and wonderful stepping stone to the consciousness and the realization of God today. Now, that you can call that a bad thing, or you can call that a good thing. Everything I've believed up to this point has taken me to this point. I'm going to call that good. To remove from our vocabulary, I'm a recovering Catholic. I'm a recovering anything, a recovering Baptist. You are not recovering. You are building a magnificent cathedral of consciousness based upon everything you have learned up to that moment. So that's the first thing that can happen. Go ahead and applaud for it. So by questioning, we find that the truth of yesterday was a wonderful stepping stone to a greater realization of God, or the possibility we find out that everything we have believed up to this moment still rings true. Great, it's gone to a deeper place because I asked the question. Everybody wins in that environment. With the question, if it's done in love, everybody wins. Where does everybody lose? In never asking the question. Never making the challenge, never having the guts and the courage to find the environment that says it's okay to play with the clay of our spirituality and go, maybe something new wants to evolve. Everybody loses because the world stays stagnant. The world becomes the Dead Sea. Our religions become archaic thinking, never being revisited. It's a stale relationship. I was preparing for this talk this week, and I'm going to go a little out of my lane here. But in the world of artificial intelligence, although there were those that would say that I'm the model of that, In the world of artificial intelligence, computer scientists have explored how behavior evolves when it is guided and contextualized by different learning algorithms. Now, my definition for algorithm is the operating system. Even the best learning algorithms will fail if they are not designed to explore. Without an occasional disruption in the operating system, algorithms get stuck in a rut, relying on the same responses time and time and time and time again. You ever met those people in your life? I'm just relying on the same thing over and over and over again. And I seem to keep creating the same life over and over and over and over again. I believe, and I might get crucified for this, in many cases, religious systems out of a fear-based technology have become the model of artificial intelligence, and a little curiosity needs to be infused into the operating system. Computer scientists have started adjusting the algorithms to have an exploration bonus, a built-in system that rewards itself for trying something new. By design, the algorithms occasionally leave the beaten path to go exploring. Now, the information that they get from this going off the beaten path isn't necessarily useful in the moment, but it gets integrated into the system in such a way that now it may be needed tomorrow or next week or next year. They're building curiosity into artificial intelligence and thus making it more intelligent. Now, I don't understand how that all works, but I do know that the parallel to our human and spiritual technology is profound. We are designed by our nature in the image and after the likeness of curiosity itself. We are designed as an expansive environment, a learning environment, a growing environment. We're designed to leave the beaten track, to try things out, and to be curious on the path of becoming. Our whole system in Unity is designed upon the Socratic method and about that idea of curiosity. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders of Unity, started every single class they taught with taking the students into the silence and said, now access the God of your understanding. Go find the God of your relationship and start there. And so we'd get silent. Before the teacher would open their mouth to speak, they'd say, find the truth of your own soul. That's the classroom I want to live in. But it went even further, because every time a student would begin to quote from one of Charles Fillmore's lectures, he would rebuke them. And he started using questions. No, don't tell me what I wrote. What do you think? How is that idea showing up in your life? The teacher and the student become one, and then we have a growing environment. The question and the answers are being exchanged back and forth. But Fillmore would say, what brings you to that conclusion? That don't blindly accept my truth. Buddha did the same thing. What are your thoughts about this topic, not mine? Quit quoting me. And speak from the informed place of your divine essence and soul. Call it the Christ, call it whatever you want. And I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit even further. God forgive me, the Unity gods will forgive me. But there are a lot of Unity churches stuck in Fillmorean thinking. 1891 thinking that needs to be readdressed, that needs to be looked at. It's not about it being bad. It's about, the Fillmores said, we're in an evolving spirituality. What's the new truth that is coming? What's the new technology? Go explore a little bit. Cooperate with the design of your very being, and don't just be an artificial intelligence. Be intelligence, the intelligent, omnipresent, omniscient energy of God informed by asking the right questions. Now, I want to challenge a little bit. Unity, for the longest time, has spent a great deal, my whole licensed Unity teacher training, my whole seminary training was the power of denials and affirmations. I'm reading the technology as an open environment that maybe is not the best way to create the life that you want. It's a positive way. It's a stepping stone to a truth. But science is showing that there are walls within the subconscious mind. There are blocks the collective consciousness, the individual consciousness, that's not going to let the denial get in. In fact, as I understand it, the brain doesn't even understand negation. So your denial, well, this condition has no power over me, it's not getting past the wall. And then the affirmation, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am happy. Well, that's a positive affirmation, but there's a wall within the subconscious mind that says, stop. The algorithm isn't receptive. The operating system isn't letting that information in. Now, that's hard to take, but I'm going to be open to new technology. What science is showing, the articles are saying, is ask a better question. Rather than claiming a truth, I am healthy, ask the question, why am I healthy? Suddenly, it goes around the wall to find the evidence, the proof. I don't know, the words coming out of your mouth, the consciousness of asking the question gets around the subconscious patterns, changes the algorithm of our very existence and being, and suddenly things begin to shift and change. We bypass the walls that are in the way of creating the life that we desire. Now, I'm just playing with this idea. But I want to be in an environment where I, as a unity minister who has taught denials and affirmations for the last 7 years, to be okay with maybe there's a better way. I don't want to contextualize my spirituality from an 1891 spirituality, but to build on the work of the filmers that say, go to the silence, go to the quiet. What is the God of my understanding putting in front of me? What are the articles showing up? What are the new gospels being written? To read them, to live them, to breathe them, and then work with them. I'm just playing with these ideas, and I'm inviting you into that laboratory to play with them as well. I don't have any answers, but boy, do I have questions that are grounding me in a deeper reality of the faith. So my questions are necessary for the faith of today. These questions are necessary for the faith of today. And so my challenge as we go into meditation is to let us be an open and learning environment, to be okay with that. And that's a scary place sometimes. What if everything I believed isn't quite true, but it's just a stepping stone? Be okay with that. What if it's absolutely right and still works for me? Great. Keep living it. Keep breathing it. Next week, we're going to explore the Marietta method, a component of the Socratic spirituality, which basically says, in my words, don't just tell me about the scriptures that you're reading. I don't care what holy book it's from. Don't just tell me about the scriptures. How are you demonstrating in your life today? How are these characters in the Bible showing up in you today? How are you growing as a result? Bring those characters, bring the Christ, bring Jesus, bring all of this into the current moment and give me the empirical data that it's still valid. That those stories, those beautiful, magnificent, and powerful stories are alive in you in such a way that you are making the shift from Adam and Eve consciousness to Christ consciousness. That it's not just a theory anymore, it's practical application. The empirical data is right there. Jesus said you'll be known by your fruits. By your fruits. Not your answers, not your monologues, but your dialogues and your questions. So yes, question everything and hang a question mark on everything in your life and just experiment. See what happens. Take a breath with me. The song we're going to sing is we are here to love, to serve, and to remember. What are we remembering? I don't know. Only you know. You're going to sit as an open and receptive environment to remember truths that maybe have long been forgotten. As Danielle and Averill lead you into this time, hang a question mark on everything within your field and just be open to whatever wants to emerge. Take a deep breath and let us sing together.